what I'm trying to get at is extreme, like when we're talking about like having extreme habits in order to get where you want to go, because it actually is a prerequisite to accomplish things that are difficult. You have to have extreme habits in certain ways, otherwise you won't get there because it's too competitive. But being extreme doesn't mean work so hard all the time. Working hard meaning going as hard as possible for the whole day, never ending. That's not what that means. And I like the way you put it. It's like when you're in your workout time, you do it as hard as you can, task completed, check, done. It's not just like this open-ended, I'm going to work out or work as hard as possible all minutes of the waking day, open-ended because that's the best way to get better. It's like, no, it's actually not. And to relate it back to like the Navy SEAL thing, it's like there's a time and a place for a beatdown, right? So they get their beatdown, that happens. But then the next mission that they do might be something that's really strategic and mental, where they need to be focused on what they're doing.
Yeah.
And if you're so exhausted or you're so worried about going as hard as possible all the time that you can't, slow it down and actually pay attention and think and process what you need to process to do it, then that's actually going to be a negative thing. And that's how it is in hockey. That's how it is on the ice.
Yeah.
If you're going 100% all the time, that's actually negative in a lot of situations.
Oh, a lot.
Yeah, like sometimes you need to slow down and make a soft play.
Well, sometimes you got to go as hard as you can to go slow.
Yeah, seriously.
No, really.
Yeah, no,
right?
I know exactly what you mean.
Like an actual tactical thing is your offensive zone or D zone, right? Where you want to like go grab pucks or whatever, but sometimes you have to, like, there's kids, my son, we've all had to do it, right? The patience to keep your feet still, have your stick in a lane and wait,
Yeah.
and then pounce. That's
exactly
go as hard as you can to go slow.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. That's why I'm asking the question, because it doesn't mean for I'm talking about that one personality type. It doesn't mean that you're going absolute 100% of your physical output all the time.
Right.
That's dumb, actually.
Yeah.
That's actually just dumb. That's not what you should do.
You don't need a brain for that.
No, and yeah, you don't need a brain for that.
No.
And that's the difference between actually succeeding playing hockey as a game and just being a workhorse that just works hard all the time and you're not actually that useful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of those.
Yeah, and there's a ton of those, right? Kids that you say, wow, that kid works hard, but man, he can't play.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate, because if you could actually have a brain about it and be smart about what you're doing, that's actually a huge component of training properly.
It's actually something I learned in the business, right? When I started doing my business, it was, and I learned to be a worker, right? There's a term, right? You can't scare a worker with work. And I would take everything I could to make everything I could to get a name for myself and stuff like that. So it got to the point, not to the point, it was just, I was always willing to do that. But when I had downtime, I was feeling guilty.
Yep.
Like for real.
Yeah, I've been there, man. Yeah.
So I'd be sitting there going, okay, I need to be doing something. I'll pretend to do some drills. Like what else? I'd have things. And my downtime was like absorbing my brain. And I would be so antsy. So it's like, if I wasn't doing something to either take my business forward or actually doing something what I thought was productive, which could have been reading, could have been just relaxing, sitting in my backyard, whatever it was like go. And I still battle with it a bit. Like I always feel like I need to be going, because it's like that the work ethic is inside, that it's just like it's built in. But I also found that, like, as George St. Pierre said, rest is growth. I learned that principle, and I learned that art of being present. And that's only been a few years, but I read a book that really, really helped me. It's called The Power Now. And it was the most boring book you're ever going to read, but it actually helped me learn that enjoy being with yourself, enjoy the weirdest things and just being present, so that when you are doing a task or a workout or whatever it is that you're doing, when you're doing it with everything that you have. And then when it's done, you can leave that.
Well, I think another interesting thing is like hard work as a concept is associated with like sweat.
Yeah.
Like hard work, being out of breath, being really busy, like that is what people associate with hard work.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like, you pointed out the GSP thing where like recovery is growth, your rest and your recovery is how you grow. And so if you're really dialed in on your recovery, let's say, is that not working hard?
That's really working. That's
You know
working
what I mean?
smart.
So to me, like that still is working hard, you know?
Like the tennis player I was telling you about,
Mhm.
his routine, his wife was saying, she got on, she goes, that year or whatever that he was dialed in and made a decision at 30 years old to see what could happen. She said it was up early. We ate clean as a whistle. he trained, and at 7:30 at night he was in bed every night.
Mm-hmm.
But that's part of being successful.
Well, but this is what I'm pointing at. Is like, so people think, okay, so we're talking about extreme. If you want to have extreme habits, people are going to associate that with hard work. But when people think of hard work, they think of like blood, sweat, and tears all the time. And that's not all that hard work is. And I learned this actually through school, because when I'm at my desk or at my table studying, it doesn't feel like I'm working hard in the way that you would think about it as an athlete, right?
Yeah.
It's like you think working hard means like workouts that are hard, skating hard, being out of breath. That's what hard work means. But to me, I was like, man, like my day, I work hard my whole day. Like I get up and go to the gym. That's hard. Then I go to my classes all day. That's hard. I never miss a class. Then I study for 3-4 hours. That's hard. And then I go to my practice or whatever. That's hard. And then I go home and I have to make sure I get to bed at a decent time, because when it would be really easy to just stay up, eat, drink, be distracted, watch a movie, do whatever. So that's even hard.
Yeah.
So it's like that. All those pieces are hard work, but what physically you're doing is very different. And that's a distinction that people need to understand. It's like hard work, having these habits doesn't just mean go all the time. And that's my main point of pushback on this is like making sure that people understand this. Because even when you talk to the Navy SEAL guys, it's not like all beat down all the time. They have that Hell Week in particular where they get their asses kicked. Yeah. And that's fine, because there's a time and a place where you need to beat down, and that's fine.
And even their first year of training is like extreme, but it needs to be, because they have to get to that place where if they were, sleeping in their tent or in a cave, wherever they are, and they get the let's go, they have to be ready, and they have to go, and they don't know how long this fight's going to last. Yeah. Like my friend was in a 3-day gunfight. 3 days. He goes, no sleep.
Yeah.
No sleep.
Well, and so think about another thing that I remember hearing from Jocko. He was saying, okay, so Hell Week is like supposed to be the hardest thing ever and whatever. Yeah. But the training after Hell Week was way harder. Yeah. And for a different reason though. Yeah. Because he was like, now it's like, okay, so we're going to go do a 3-day march through the desert and practice attacking these different targets. Yeah. And we have to execute it to the nth degree, because if we don't, we're dead. Yeah. That's way harder than Hell Week, even though maybe physically Hell Week was more difficult.
100%.
But actually getting the proper work done for the goal that you're saying, doing it this way, like having the mental piece in there and the strategy piece in there and the physical piece in there, that's more parallel to what it's like playing a game when you're playing hockey. Yeah. Like that is the game. It's like you need to have, yes, you need to physically, it's going to be difficult, but mentally, like making the good decisions and making sure that you're making the right plays and doing things the right way so that you can win the game, which is overall what the goal is as with your team. That's actually a lot more difficult than doing a bag skate at practice, difficult in terms of like overall, all things considered. Physically, the bag skate probably hurts more, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's more difficult, right? So those are the things that people need to play with.
Yeah, you can bag skate, be the best bag skater, that's all good, but you have to be able to play the game.